Hello again, dear ones. Rev BRZ with you here.
Rev Z right here.
And this is New Thought Today, the opportunity that we take each week to get together and discuss the principles and processes and philosophy of New Thought and ask those questions. Is this applicable to our lives today? How can we activate these philosophical universal truths? And how does the guiding documents of our organization, how do we support that and communicate that? Now, across the last several weeks, 10 or 11 weeks now, I think we've been 12 weeks with special guests. We've been discussing the Centers for Spiritual Living Global Heart Vision. And today we're looking at the final statement in that series. If you'll remember, there are 10 statements total. And today we're looking at the big kahuna of them all. We envision a world that works for everyone and for all of creation. I guess we got to get the elephant out of the room right to begin with, because that's a mighty huge statement, Z.
Yeah, it is. I mean, a world that works for everyone and all creation. I mean, they threw a double whammy in there, which means, as was indicated earlier in one of the statements, we have to start looking at resources and the animals and the atmosphere and how to figure out what that relationship is for each element that makes up this global community or this cosmic community, if we want to extend it. And how do we begin to make this work for everyone, understanding that there's an ebb and flow, there's a polarity that happens within life. How do we find that balance and find that rhythm to make this thing swing just so right to keep it moving in the perfect way, if you will, that makes it all hum and sing?
Yeah, exactly. And, folks, we want you to know that you're welcome to join us in this discussion. By all means, share your comments in the comment box. Let us know what you're thinking. Let us know what questions you have. What does it mean for you to be living in, or what do you feel is your way to contribute to creating this world that works for everyone? And now, there are those that will argue, well, according to our beliefs, philosophically, the world already is working for everyone. It couldn't not be working for everyone. So to say that we're trying to create a world that works for everyone is implying that it doesn't already work, and that and yada yada and around and around and around. And what do you say to those folks that want to say it's already there and we got nothing to do but stay in the consciousness of affirming that truth?
I would agree with them if everybody was operating at their prime frequency, if you will. So if everybody was operating from this point of unity and everybody understood their frequency, a good example, there's the story in the Bible where Moses struck the rock and they had the 12 tribes of Israel, and each tribe knew where they should get their water. It's a metaphor that says everyone who's in tune know where they should be and how they should be acting and interchanging with everything else on the planet. And so that works only, though, if we are in tune with who we are and what we should be doing. If that's the case, then yes, it will begin to be perfect, because perfect does not mean that bad things will happen or that it will always be kumbaya types of environments that we live in. The whole game of life, if you will, is an ebb and flow, is a vibrational frequency that moves ups and down. And that part is perfect. The way the work oscillates, the way the world turns on its axis, if you will, and prevents day and night and seasons and everything, that is perfect. But for us to be in tune with that perfection, we must align with it, I would say.
Right. Okay. I got you. And this is the fun part of it all for me, folks, right? Because this is what allows for free will. We have to have that place of choice. So as the universe, as the world oscillates, as it moves, as it does what it's going to do, because volcanoes are going to erupt and plates are going to move at the tectonic level on planet Earth. So there's going to be earthquakes, and there's, Kilauea is getting ready to getting ready to erupt pretty well. The lava lake is growing right now. If you haven't been following that, it's a fun story to follow. So all these things are going to happen, but we retain the free will to say, this is what I'm going to make out of that. This is the meaning I'm going to assign to something like that. And when we perceive that, okay, this is an event that's supporting us in creating a world that works for everyone, that's what we're going about. If we perceive and we want to affirm and we want to say, well, this is a no good, very bad, rotten, horrible type of thing to have happen, and this is a harbinger of the impending doom of human life on planet Earth, we're probably not going to have a good Tuesday. Let's put it that way, right?
Yeah, right.
So, but the big thing is, folks, it's going to take all of us to do this. Mm-hmm. Not one of us is excused from the exercise here.
And as the saying goes, no man, and we will say no woman, is an island. We work cooperatively. One of the right now we're going through the African American cultural holiday called Kwanzaa, and there are two things in there about collective work and responsibility, and there's another principle of collective economics, and that is so that we can begin to build for ourselves and do for ourselves and all those things that we do cooperatively, so that everybody has a stake, everybody has an input, everybody has a value statement or a value point that they can tap into, that they know exactly where they plug in, and there's no question about what that is, or if someone else is doing something else, that's theirs to do. This is mine to do, and I do it lovingly and openly and freely because it supports everything. It supports everybody, and that's what we're looking to do with this statement is, how do we create this environment, this world where everybody understands who and what they are, and nobody's left out, and everybody feels uplifted, valued, and respected.
Yes. Now, folks, if things start to sound like we're repeating ourselves for previous shows, well, yeah, we are, because all of the different aspects of this global vision culminate in this idea. So, when we look back at some of what Reverend LZ has just been sharing, statement number 7, we envision a world in which resources are valued, cared for, and grown, and where there's generous and continuous sharing of those resources on the individual level and the organizational level in our lives. Statement number 2, we envision a world in which each and every person lives in alignment with his or her highest spiritual principle, emphasizing unity with God and connection with each other, a world in which individual and collectively we are called to a higher state of consciousness and action. So none of these statements just live individually. So it's like Rev Z said, no man or woman is an island. None of these statements are an island. They all have to be taken from that holistic perspective that said it's all of it. It's not one part. It's not this part. It's not that part. It's all parts of the puzzle, all pieces of the game coming together in a unified move to create the world that works for everyone, right? To awaken to that truth. So we're not really creating it. We're awakening to the truth that it's already here. And then that awakening leads us to inspired action to say, now this is where I get to show up. This is where I can make my difference.
Yes.
This is where I contribute.
And that's, that's one of the key points I think is going to be pivotal for everyone going into 2021, because we've been disrupted for 9 months or a pregnancy, if you will. Some people have been saying that we have this opportunity for rebirth, and part of that rebirth is to really get clear about who we are as individuals first. What are we to do individually first, and then let that expand out. So creating a world that works for everyone, and the creation will begin to form on its own. As we get in tune with our divine and highest calling, we will begin to attract or repel, if you will, those people, places, and things that supports us being the best that we can be. And don't get confused with the attracting and repelling. That's just the law of nature. And so it has nothing to do with whether I like somebody or not like somebody, or any of that. That's just the law of physics that happens in our body, because we are one big electromagnet that does exactly what nature has programmed it to do.
Yes. Absolutely. But I like that. I like to remember that I don't have to call into my life. I don't have to have experiences in my life that are based in suffering, that are based in lack, or that are based in limitation, that are based in not being good enough. I don't have to attract the drama and the trauma and the chaos into my life. I can, and many of us do, and then kvetch and complain and moan and groan and, wrestle with God about why it happens. Really, however, the opportunity is ours to say, okay, here's what's going on. What do I want to do with it? Where do I want it to take me? Where do I want to go next? And follow that grand vision for what's leading, what's calling us. It feels like we are in, and I've been preaching this all summer, right? We are in an age of a grand revelation. We are revealing. We are in the midst of this revelation, of revelatory experience, where we come to a greater understanding of what these statements mean, what it really would look like to live in a world that works for everyone. And we do here on the New Thought Media Network, we've got a program called And Now the Good News. And I have not had a lack of stories this year, of great news stories, where people, and most of them, the majority of them by far, are a resurgence in animal and plant life on planet Earth, and a resurgence of human connection, of people actually caring for each other. I can't tell you how many stories I've seen of a server being purchased, someone buying a car for a server, or for somebody who really needed it, or people who have given away vehicles to the people that are most in need of a vehicle at this time. And so we know this is operating. We know that it's more than just religious scientists. It's more than new thoughters that understand these principles. We're just trying to put them all into some sort of wordsmith, I guess, come up with something fancy for people to be attracted to.
Yeah. We're trying to maintain the container, if you will, that allows these various ingredients to come together and make the soup, make the cake, make the omelet, whatever it is that you can identify with in terms of how things that appear to be separate can be combined and unified into a whole new thing, if you will, but still maintains its own individuality within that, right? And so, if you make a soup and you got carrots and potatoes and, beans, they all become one thing called soup, but when you're biting into a potato as opposed to a bean, right? But it's the goodness of all of that makes that soup good. And that's what we're trying to do with these envisioning statements, if you will, to create this vision in our mind that says, I can be a part of something greater than myself, and I don't have to lose myself. I can contribute to something that's going to benefit everybody, and there's no big or small in that whole picture.
Right.
And when we can value the resources, we understand that. No, there is no one who drives a car that will not value the linchpin that holds the gas pedal to the rod that pushes down for your car to accelerate, or for the pin that holds your brake to the brake pedal so that when you push the brake, it stops. You value that pin just as much as you value those brakes, because without the pin, there are no brakes, at least none that are working. And so that's what we are And I think 2021 is calling us to be more mindful of that and be more in tune with that, to find our place, to figure it out. And it may take some digging.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it will take some digging. Folks, we'd love to hear what's up for you, right? Where is it easy for you to see a world that's working for everyone? And where is it tough? Where do you look at life and say, my God, no way is that working for everyone? I can't possibly be working for XYZ or for this person or for that group or for that culture or whatever it may be. And listening to Rev Z, one of the things that really just strikes me is we are in the midst of this. And number one, I want to go make chili. Number two, each of these statements is a different bean, right? We've got a 9-alarm fire going on. We got a 9-alarm chili going on to get us to the distilled into that point. Because it's easy to say we're creating a world that works for everyone. It's easy to say that's our vision. That's our mission on the planet, right? That we're here to do these things. And not any one of us, I don't want to encourage you to strive to be all of this all at once. It's not about, oh, I got to do all of these things. Oh, I've got to be all this stuff. And no, it's about finding the place that fits for you. And now in the coming weeks, we have another version of the global vision that we're going to share with you that's a little less wordy and really kind of distilled down even more. And that's what we're asking you to do, is to start to consider, okay, where's the one thing out of all of this that says, that's mine. I'm ready to be that. I'm ready to emphasize beauty more. I'm ready to be an artist more. I'm ready to give my gifts more. I'm ready to go serve in a soup kitchen if that's what's necessary, if that's what's calling, right? Where are you being called to be a bigger contribution to this vision?
Yeah. And because we all know in our heart of hearts that we all have a part to play, or there's something that we can contribute. We may not know we have a part to play yet because we haven't made that logical or heartfelt connection, but we all know that we have something to give. And so part of the homework, the preparing for 2021, is to begin to dig deep right now, these last couple of days of 2020 and the dawning of 2021. What is it that I know that I do, even if somebody else do it, they don't do it the way I do it, right? And I know I may not be able to speak to all people or all issues in that arena of skill, task, whatever it might be, but I know I can command and obtain some respect and accountability for doing that. So I'm going to do it and allow whatever gets attracted to that or to me or to this thing to do that, and then we expand that and the other people do their thing, and again eventually they will begin to merge.
Yeah. Well, Z, we don't plan these things, but I love how you set us up right on time. It's about time for us to take a quick moment and let our sponsors and identify themselves. And as we do that, we want to share with you, there's a really great event coming up this weekend here on the New Thought Media Network, our New Year Visioning Retreat. It's a 3-day experience. Now, you don't have to attend all of these sessions. You can attend one, or you can attend all of them. It's 14 different opportunities across the 3-day weekend to dig deep into what is the vision for your life? What is your soul's purpose for being on the planet at this time? And what's necessary? What's calling you to activate and become and live that vision? Now, each session will have a 30-minute introduction prior to the published time. So if you're looking at that Friday at noon, well, at 11:30, we'll start an intro session. If you're new to the program or want to introduce somebody to the visioning process, bring them to one of the introduction sessions where we teach the basics. Then at the top of the hour, we'll move into our deep dive visioning session, and they normally last about 45 to 50 minutes. And then following that, we'll have also an optional opportunity to stay connected and share more of what's coming forward in your vision, the vision for your life. Now, this isn't a private Zoom room. We're not broadcasting this live. It's happening live in a Zoom room. So be sure to send an email over to info@ntmedia.org and request an invite to the New Year Visioning Retreat. Attend one or attend all. I guarantee you a deep dive insight into the truth of who you came here to be, your soul's purpose, and the grand vision for your life. So we invite you to join us for that. All right. So Z, this is New Thought Today. We're sitting here talking about the global vision, and our topic is we envision a world that works for everyone and for all of creation. Dig in a little bit. What's the difference between working for everyone and all creation?
Well, one of the things when you look at all creation, right now you may have noticed there's a large campaign, if you will, from the ASPCA and organizations of the like about helping to take care of pets and animals. Because the truth of the matter is, a lot of people have lost their homes and have had a decrease or no more income at all, and they had to make a hard decision. What do I do with my beloved pet? And so a lot of people, unfortunately, they have to, take those pets to a relief center, and so there again, the pet is suffering, right? Because it's not around his beloved family anymore, and the kids and individuals are suffering a bit because they don't have the companionship of their pet. Sometimes my dog frustrates the bejesus out of me, but I'll tell you, when he wants to go on a walk, the energy, and my dog is 13 years old. When that dog gets outside, it's like a little puppy. It's sitting there waiting for me, wagging his tail, barking. And when I open the door, and I got a little small dog, a little shorty, maybe like 30 pounds, 25 pounds, it almost pulled me down trying to get out the door. And even if I'm mad at the dog or mad at something else, that always cheers me up. Showing again that world that's working for everyone, that the pets, our animals, and we're just talking about pets, but there's also the nature animals, if you will, that their habitats are being maybe not supported the way they were, who are on a ranch, or the ranch may have to close down. And so that's just one of the creations that we have to begin to be considerate of. They're not just dumb animals, they're sentient beings, as some of us know, and they have feelings, and just like we do. So we have to begin to take that into consideration.
Yeah. Again, we come back to that holistic approach that all systems are integrated. All systems are integrated. We've got to find the way that that works when we're changing things. And I'm reminded of a principle in Love or Logic, right? If you create a mess or a problem, or whatever you want to call it, if you create an experience, you got to go clean that up in a way that doesn't create a mess or a problem or an experience for anybody else. Right. And as we start to look at life on planet Earth, and especially moving forward, because there's no going back. There's no going back. Number one, we're not done with this experience yet anyway. Things are not going to magically change on Friday morning, Saturday morning. It's not going to go poof, and race-based hatred is just not going to disappear in the world, and all the other things that are going on, COVID and all the rest of it, not just going to go poof and disappear.
Right.
We're still working with these things. And as we move forward here on planet Earth, we have to bring that integrated perspective that says what I have to consider the repercussions of what I do on every experience of life, every plant life, every animal life, mineral life, the resources on planet Earth, how we are polluting outer space for the future of space travel. We keep going the way we're going. We're going to build a net around planet Earth of satellites and space junk that we won't even be able to get a ship out because it'll get pummeled by all the crap we got floating around up there. There's sometimes, so no offense to Elon Musk or his vision or anything, right? But have we considered all the implications of what we're out here doing? I do my best. Can't say I always do the best, but that's what it's going to take to create a world that works for everyone, right?
Yeah. I mean, and when you think about it, you look at things that we need to work on so that everything works for everyone. You just look at the situation that just happened in New York just a couple days ago. There's a jazz musician. He was in a hotel, coming off the elevator from staying in the hotel, 14-year-old son. He comes out of the elevator, and this young lady starts accusing him of stealing her phone, and goes and tackles the kid with his father there, scratches the father, and the manager, as opposed to trying to diffuse the situation, he's saying, I'm the manager, yes, but he's still taking the side of the young lady who said the boy stole the phone. Come to find out, she left her phone in an Uber, and the Uber guy brings the phone, right? And so
in the middle of the fight, right?
It's like, why do you think he took it, and how would he have gotten it if he did? And how do you think you can demand him to show you the phone? Give me the phone, show me the phone, without really, there's a better way to handle that. Right. You could have gone to the manager and said, hey, whatever, I think this might be my phone, I don't know, blah, blah, blah. But as opposed to coming out and attack, that's not a world that works for everyone, because you've already accused this 14-year-old kid now of theft, and you've assaulted him and his father and run off.
Yeah.
Right? Because she ran off after all that happened, and
right after the Uber driver gave her back her phone, right? Sorry, gotta go.
I've caused confusion and now I'm leaving.
Right. Well, and I really think that's part of the COVID fatigue in a lot of ways too. We're at a unique place in history where there is this pervading sense of fatigue across the entire planet. Everybody's tired of this. Nobody wants this thing to go on. But it just so happens to coincide with the rise of call-out culture, where everybody feels entitled and justified in calling anybody out for anything that's going on. And that woman that made that mistake, right? And we're doing it right now. We're calling her out for for her behaviors. And what it sounds like is, she made a big, huge mistake. And I have to trust that she's incredibly embarrassed about this. And that's why we're not going to publish a link to go find it. And that's why we're not going to tell you her name, and we're not going to tell you where any of it, right? So you can find it if you want, but I encourage you not to. Don't amplify someone else's mistakes. Don't amplify someone else's ignorance. Be the change, be the example, be that place that says, wow, I don't have to express it publicly, but I got to have compassion to some degree for that woman, because I know I've been in situations where I was not happy. I got triggered. I yelled, and then somebody goes, oh, you mean these keys? You're looking for these? Oh, there. Yeah. All right.
And one of the key things you said there, which really I think is the impetus for us to begin to understand this world that works for everyone. During this COVID-19 experience, we've had all kinds of assault on our person, if you will, on our consciousness, injustice and racial discrimination and not enough food and not enough jobs and being locked in. We have had so many things jumping at our consciousness, at our actual life, that everybody's shell shocked. I was talking with someone the other day. I think after this is all over, we all should go find a PTSD counselor and have a little session or two, because we're all traumatized in some way, I believe, by these experiences. And so if we're going to have a world that works for everyone, we got to recognize that certain things have been triggered in us as a result of this experience. Some of it may support a world that works for everyone, but there may be some things that detract from that idea that may be laying dormant and just waiting for the right point to get triggered. And then we're like, where did that come from?
Yeah. You make a great point there. Financial assistance in the immediate term, absolutely necessary. I don't want to take anything away from what Congress is doing to financially support Americans and what other countries are doing to support their citizens. But I do believe the next stimulus package needs to include a provision for everyone, and you're hitting on it, right? Everyone, no one left behind, no one excluded. I don't care how long you've been living on the streets or what your special. Everyone gets some sort of mental health assistance to the degree that they need it. And everyone has an opportunity to go process this thing. Whether it's a mental health therapist or whether it's a minister, but to sit and be able to move through this experience and really process. We have all been traumatized. You're right, Z. No one on the planet's been through what we're going through right now, the way we are.
And as you were saying that, just think about the huge opportunity for a group of creative architects and communal living and opportunity for them to take some of these spaces that are now empty from corporate shift in terms of how many people they will have come to an office, how many will remain at home. I mean, there will be some split, but whatever that split is between working remotely and working on premise, there is definitely going to be an abundance, I believe, of empty space that we have to begin to creatively look at. How do we reutilize that? How do we value that and respect that resource and reclaim it, rediscover it? It's going to be a great opportunity for somebody.
Yeah. We've danced around this topic on this program over the last 10 weeks, but we haven't actually broached it. And that is the idea of a universal basic income. And not just financial, right? But let's go all the way. Let's go to food assurance. There are far too many food deserts in this country, places where your choices are McDonald's or Burger King, and neither one of them is doing you any good. Right, where it's miles before you can get to a supermarket versus a convenience store, and we're going to take it to the next step too, and we're going to have a reevaluation, a reimagining, a revelation in our healthcare system and policy. And I said this earlier, right, folks? Not any one of us can do all of these things, but every one of us is being called to do some point, to add some aspects for it. So, and I'm not the only one who, right? Definitely, there is a move to guarantee income for everyone out there.
Yeah, and there's this idea. Again, it creates opportunities for people right now who may not have an opportunity. For when we begin to repurpose and allocate some of these resources, there's opportunity to get those people who may have been left out before, to bring them in. Because if we start coming up with a program like that, there's going to be education that's needed. There's going to be programs to train on how to do things, how to maintain things. It's going to be a great opportunity for us to grow and become respectful and value all the skills that it takes to make one thing go. And real quick, one example of that right now is schools. All the parents who've been home, especially if you got children in 2 different grades. I spoke with my daughter, and she said, I'm finna get rid of all of them. I can't be the 2nd grade teacher and the 5th grade teacher and the principal and the cafeteria manager and do my job at the same time. I just can't do it all. And
Right.
so the idea of understanding what it takes to run a school and how it's all integrated, and that we can't do these things alone, we will begin to respect those institutions or things that work that way and support them more. I hope that's my vision.
Yes, exactly. And I'm with you, right? My wife and I, we're both working from home. We've got 2 kids in school, and we are all that. And the scheduling dispatcher for all of it, and healthcare, and we're learning a whole new way of making sure that our kids are taken care of in a healthcare situation, that they get the checkups, that they get to the dentist, that they get to their eye doctor appointments, that all these things are happening. There's a great opportunity in front of us, folks, to be involved. And you're going to hear me say that again and again and again and again and again, because now more than ever is that time for all of us to step up and say, this is how I'm called to serve. I heard a piece recently that food banks across the country, not only seeing a greater need than ever before, but are starting to see people that used to be heavy donors, that were financial donors and financial patrons, that are now using those services. There are more people in America on some form of food assistance than ever before. And that's not a bad thing. That actually proves that we have the resources to do this. That actually proves that we can make something like universal basic income a reality, universal basic food assurance a reality, community gardening, whatever it might be. Imagine it. Imagine, if you can imagine it, start sharing it somewhere. Start letting somebody know your ideas, because until there's those out there that said, you got a great idea, don't share it with anybody until it, don't, because somebody might steal it. Somebody might tell you, somebody might poo-poo on it and tell you can't. You might believe them. And no, hang out here long enough. We're going to convince you of your greatness, and we're going to convince you can do what you want to do, whatever dream that is. So let's dream the dream. Let's envision the vision and say, here's the place where I can make that contribution.
And I mean, you just think about musicians. We have a ton of musicians playing all types of music, all types of instruments, known and unknown, and they're all doing their thing. Now, we can go to, that's another industry that has had some challenges, because a lot of them make their money going live. And so I would encourage everyone, if you're a lover of music, find out if your local artist or if your favorite artist has something to help them through these times, to do that. But we look at and musicians we know are passionate people. They're playing through the roughest times that they probably will see in their lifetime. And so I know how I feel about music. I don't care what kind of music. I like all kinds of music. And so when I hear it, it puts me in a certain mood. It uplifts me. It calls me to go internal and think. I mean, there's all these different things that the music, as an example, kicks in when we allow ourselves to be fully engaged in it. And that's what we're going to have to do, is find our thing and just support it. And when we get to this minimum income for everybody, minimum food and the clothing and shelter, Some people say, "Oh, that's just gonna make people lazy." Well, no, I don't think so. There'll always be some people who won't comply, if you will. But once you free people, you can imagine how much energy it takes for someone who's not at a certain standard of living, how much energy it takes to just try to get there. That
Right.
energy could be shifted to something totally different if I didn't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we have the power, we have the creativity, we have the resources. We need to value them and make this world work for everyone and the creation.
Yeah. You hit on it again and again, right? We have everything on the planet necessary to fulfill this vision. And as we speak of homelessness, that's one of the toughest traps to escape. Blessed be never been there, and worked with enough folks to know that it's the toughest thing to escape, because it takes every ounce of energy just to keep things moving, let alone try to get ahead, let alone find a job where you can get a job if you don't have a physical address, or if you don't have a car. And jobs nowadays, they require, I've heard of places that are like, we need to see your driver's license, your insurance, and physically see your vehicle before we're going to offer you a job, because we don't want you to have to rely on public transportation to get. That's not going to fly in the future. That's not flying anymore. That perception, that perspective, I trust, died with this pandemic, because we need more than ever, let's figure out how we share the resources we have so that everybody gets that leg back up again.
Yeah.
Gets moving again.
And you made me think about something there, and I'm sure most people, if not everyone, can identify with, in terms of trying to show the parallel of that housing thing, is that, remember when you went to look for your first job and they said, "Oh, your resume looks good, but you don't have any experience." Yeah, I know that. And that's why I'm here. I'm trying to get some experience. Yeah, but you need some experience. And so now we get in this cat and mouse game where the same thing is happening on the housing side, where they want you to have certain things, permanent address and so forth, but I need one to get one. And so now we're doing the two steps and the situation just explodes.
Yep. Yeah. You need first month's, last month's, an extra month deposit, right? Who on the fringes could come up with $3,000 in like that to get into an apartment? We are at a precipice, and what I know is it is in the face. Sometimes, mother is the necessity of all invention, or right, however that one goes. I just messed that one up, but creation is. But here we are. There is a great need. And it was I believe it was Howard Thurman that said, right, let your great passion and the world's great need, where those two meet, that is where you are here to play. Yeah. That is where you are here to play. That's where we're going to serve.
Yeah. And I found this quote this morning by Desmond Tutu that I think is very appropriate. It says, "Do your little bit of good. Where you are, it's those little bits of good put together that will overwhelm the world." So we all just have to do our little bit, put it together, and it will overwhelm the world. And so how do we do that? Well, we do that first by submitting to the idea that there's something greater than us that's calling us, that we can tap into to get a clearer vision. And then we have to devote ourselves to being active in life. We have to be an active participant in life. There's no longer the opportunity or the luxury of sitting on the sideline being a spectator or a commentator.
Right.
We don't need spectators anymore. We don't need commentators. We need people on the field, on the stage, in the kitchens, whatever it might be, to take the metaphor to say, you got to be in this to win it. You can't play on the sidelines.
Right. Yeah. There's no more, I'll see how it all works out.
Right.
Right. Let me see how it all works out. Call me next Friday, and we'll see where we're at. That's not going to fly in this new future, in this new world as well. Each and every one of us called to a sacred mission.
Yeah.
Now, what I want to do with that is I want to introduce you to our sacred mission. If this is the first time you're catching up with New Thought Media Network, well, we're going to take a 40-second break right here and let you learn a little bit more about us. Let Rev Z and I grab a drink of water. We'll be right back with more of New Thought Today. Stay tuned. New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring. And we're back. This is New Thought Today, a weekly discussion program where we look at the principles of New Thought and how they're working in our lives and how we can activate those in our lives more and more. Today, my co-host and I, your friend, brother, Reverend Z, we've been talking about the final statement of 10 in the CSL Global Vision. We envision a world that works for everyone and for all of creation. And, during the break there, Z, a song jumped into my head and I can't remember who did it for the life of me. I probably only remember this one lyric, right? But we're taking it to the streets.
Oh, yeah. I think that was Tower Power, maybe.
Yeah, perhaps Philadelphia Funk, if I remember correctly.
Yeah,
but
taking it to the streets.
yes. And if we're wrong, go ahead and let us know in the comments, folks, if we're all way off base here. But it struck me that, that is the place where this philosophy has evolved to.
Yeah.
In the foundations of New Thought, it was all about working in the mind. It was all about working on the consciousness and allowing the physical experience to reveal the perfection that we develop in our mind first. Whether it was mental healing and hypnotism, all of it. But we have evolved and we have grown and we have reimagined who we are on the planet. And it brings us to this point where we've got to be the hands, not just the mind of God anymore, but we've got to be the hands of God.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so we're not just changing our thinking anymore. The phrase used to be change your thinking, change your life. Sure, now we're changing our thinking, changing our lives so that we can pick up the hammer and the saw and go change and support others in changing their lives. However that looks.
Yeah, somebody just said it's the Doobie Brothers, and I think they're right.
Yes.
But, that made me think about a couple of statements, where it says that we want to awaken to our spiritual magnificence, taking personal responsibility, displaying it in a world where we are activated in social consciousness, right? That's how we take it to the street, right? I awaken to the bright light of the divine that is flowing in me, through me, as me. I take personal responsibility for myself and those things that I have authority, if you will, over. And I create a social consciousness that allows me to invigorate or activate or support or speak a word to those things that takes away from the harmony or the idea of a universal oneness that we are all striving to live in and be a part of.
Yep. This is principle number 5, right, folks? We envision a world where personal responsibility joins with social conscience in every area of the political, corporate, academic, and social sectors, providing sustainable structures to further the emerging global vision, global consciousness. Yeah. Z, I got to tell you, this has been a fun journey, really digging into these things and exploring these things. And it, from from where we sit, sometimes it does feel like, well, we're sitting here preaching the same story again and again this week and finding a new way to share it. But really, and I'm reminded, right, the work of a preacher is to share the same message till the congregation gets it. And I know the people listening to this program already get it.
Yeah.
So the people listening, you folks listening, you're not the congregation. You're the preacher. You're being called to preach this message in your own way, in your own words, through your own actions, and make this reality. And Brother Wayne out of Calgary says it here, right? Living faith in oneness to critical mass and beyond.
Yeah.
Living faith in oneness until everyone around us is inspired to be this as well, to teach this as well, to share this, to live this stuff. Just as and you've heard me say today, right? We don't have to be all of this. We just got to be one of these things. Well, yes, we get to be one of them, and that leads to another and another and another. And before long, you realize, well, I am living all of this stuff. And that's a fun place to be in life, really.
Yeah, and you know, you bring up that point about you sound like we're talking in circles, but when we look at the world, when we look at the universe we live in, there is a cycle called morning and night that happens forever. As long as we can remember, that cycle has been going on and on. The same thing with the seasons. However, each sunrise, each sunset, each winter or summer allows us to see something a little bit different or understand a little bit more the connectedness of everything that we didn't understand or see before. So now the reason that we go through that cycle, because each time I'm at a different reference point. And so when that happens, that allows us, as they said, to reach that critical mass. You know, we talk about critical mass. Well, that's one of the ideas. They've called it something different in this pandemic. It is the herd immunity. But that is the same concept, same idea of critical mass, that when we get to a certain point of saturation between how many have been accepting of a thing, whatever that is, whether it's a vaccine or an idea, it will begin to shift the rest of the community, the rest of those that are in that environment. So we're doing the same thing in terms of the idea of what we need and what we're looking forward to in a world that works for everyone. We need critical mass of people thinking that it is possible and activating their lives so that it does actually come to be.
Yes. Amen, 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 my brother. Yes. yes.
We got some challenges and some fun times all together.
Right. And you know, so we said earlier, I mentioned earlier, this concept of COVID fatigue. In a lot of ways, I'm just tired of the lunacy fatigue. I personally am tired of living in a world where people are selfish, where people are greedy, where people are judging everybody else. And I want to see this for myself, for my family, for my kids, and for everyone watching, for everyone listening, right? That there's nothing that stops us from doing all this stuff other than our own concern for others' judgment of us. So let go of that judgment, let go of any concern of what anybody thinks, and do what's yours to do.
Yeah, you know, you made me think about something. You know, now there's this, you know, on different platforms or whatever, they do these pranks on people and try to call, you know, calling them out or whatever. They got them on Facebook, they got them on radio, they got them on all these different, you know, platforms. And I'm thinking to myself, why would you want to humiliate somebody like that for your own gratification?
Right.
Or excuse me, or for your own, you know, monetary gain.
Yeah. To get more hits on your YouTube channel.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you know, that's not cultivating anything but hate and dissension and skepticism and all those things that we want to move away from, because they affect every race, creed, color, sexual orientation, gender. It doesn't matter. If you start creating an environment where the highlight of the day is to poke fun at somebody and try to embarrass them and make them look, crazy or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That's not going to end well.
Yep. Yeah, I'm reminded when I was younger, I've got with the last name like Brzezinski. Let's just say I pretty much heard every Polak joke in the world growing up. And there was a point where I was like, hey, that's fine. You just tell it, because I'm just going to take it and turn it into an Italian joke.
Right.
I could tell it as a couple of Italian guys. So tell me any joke you want to tell me. But that kind of mentality, just as you're talking about, that serves no one. And so the day came where it wasn't even really completely, it was just, I never felt the need to tell a Polak joke or an Italian joke or a black joke or a joke about any ethnicity or culture or race, because it just doesn't serve anything. And the truth is, they're not funny anymore. They lose the humor, right? It just ain't funny to laugh about shit like that. So every year, and speaking to what you were sharing there also, is every year we come to this point, end of Christmas is over. We got this week in between where we're supposed to, let go of the old stuff and make resolutions and prepare for the new. And I'm not saying don't do that stuff. Absolutely do that stuff. This is a perfect time of the year to do it. But recognize that you are not the same you that you were at this time last year. You are not the same you that you were 2 years ago at this time, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 10 years ago at this time. You were a totally different person. And today, every day, but today of all days, is a greatest opportunity to say, I'm going to do it differently in the coming year. I'm going to do it differently.
Yeah. I mean, it's perfect time. As they say, now is the time, this is the hour. Are you going to stand up and be accounted for? And that's what we need everybody to do in some way. And like Desmond Tutu said, we don't need you to stand up and do it all. I don't need to stand up and do it all. If we all do our little bits and put that together, we will overwhelm the world with the response and the outcome of this whole idea that we value life, all life, human and non-human, if you will, and the environment. And we are taking personal responsibility to make sure that there's a smooth transition into that idea.
And I guess I would have to say, and that, folks, is how we create a world that works for everyone and all creation.
Yes.
Thank you for being with us on behalf of the New Thought Media Network. We find it Rev Z and I are chatting about this before the show. We think it's incredibly appropriate that we're ending 2020 with this show, that this all lined up. We did not plan this when we first set out on this adventure. And it is all culminated in a great, I believe, experience for the end of 2020. And we're going to be here next year, and we're going to continue, and this is going to continue on Tuesdays at 2, moving into next year. And starting next year, we're going to expand how we look at the principles of New Thought. We're going to expand some of the statements that we look at. We're going to expand our rotation of special guests and bringing others in to share with us their perspective of New Thought today and what it means to live these principles in a human world. So if you would like to communicate, let us know. Please talk with us. ministertalk@ntmedia.org. One of us will respond and reply to any messages that are sent our way. And we would love to hear, who do you want to see on the program? Who would you like us to have as a guest? What aspects of New Thought would you like us to discuss? What's going on in your life that perhaps you think a New Thought perspective would serve you? How can we best serve you along this journey of enlightenment? I'm Rev Briz.
I'm Rev Z.
And that's all for New Thought today.
Yep. And as always, I couldn't let it go without it. Educate, conversate, and activate. That's what we need.
Yes. Until next time, peace and blessings.
Peace and blessings.